Hi, my name is Ludovico Bianchi. I'm a PhD candidate in particle physics, and today I'm presenting my project for the hackathon Water Towards True Affordability. I was joining this project for the beginning by my former teammate Ryan Thyssen that helped me with the concept and definition of the project, but then unfortunately had to abandon. So our project is concentrated on the issue of affordability for drinking water. In California, there are a huge number of different water service providers, and they all charge different rates for water. Our first attempt was to quantify how water can impact the economics of families and communities. And to do so, we started to look at data that could correlate between the price charged for water and the economic observables such as income and presence of disadvantaged communities. This is, of course, inserted in a larger issue because water issues in California disproportionately hit those communities that are more at risk, both economically and from the point of view of water safety. Our project is presented in this website that we created, which shows the main motivations and plans for the project. I would define that the project is divided in two ways. So the first part is the data analysis. So how to quantify exactly how the impact of water prices and availability on the community. So to do so, we started with comparing the population data coming from the US Census and comparing it to the information about water prices. The first complication that we encountered in this sense is that there wasn't a clear way to correlate the water service providers with the communities they were serving. So for the first part, we started to develop a method to unite this data. So the data, it comes from the strategy that we use then to analyze this data is to compare the shape, so the geographical boundaries of the water service providers with the geographical boundaries of the United States Census regions. We developed a data analysis workflow that allows to compare and match, sort of cross-correlate the again, the US Census information with the public water systems that are serving them. The culmination of this project is in this section of the website, where we built a dashboard which is interactive and can be seen at this address here. So the dashboard is showing a map of California, which is fully interactive. And here it's possible to visualize the boundaries of the various water service providers in California. Clicking on the area shows some information about the water service providers. So the purpose of this, it's double, both on the public facing side, so that the public can have a better idea of who their water service provider is, and as part of a larger analysis and statistics, data analysis effort on the water board or any other policymaker's side to allow faster and more detailed analysis. Among the layers of the map, it's also possible to select some demographic and economic quantities, such as the unemployment rate for a particular census, US Census area. And also similar markers, such as how many percentage of families that are under the poverty limit, or as an example, the rate of population which is that are unemployed and without health insurance. And finally, the observable that we analyze to establish if the water rates are compatible, or how much they impact the affordability, is dividing the information that we obtain about analyzing water rates, matching them with the water service provider coverage area, and finally calculating the ratio between the rate served, the rate charged by the public service providers, and the median income in that area. So we see here in the legend that the population up to 2%, it's considered up to 2% of yearly income is considered affordable. But there are several areas where this is not true. For example, here in Vallejo, it's the water service rates are, one can notice that the water service rates are higher compared to the median income. Not all of the data is covered because of missing, not all of the area is covered by this analysis because of missing rates information for several of the, especially smallest water service providers. But this data that we analyzed here, and we managed to reproduce the results of a previous study done by the American Water Association for California and Nevada in 2017, it's only part of the story, because this is only not only done with official data. It does not take into account what's the real impact that the absence or poor quality of water can have on a community. For example, this analysis only uses the real data, which is the data which is provided by each water service provider, and does not take into account, for example, if communities and families have to buy their own water because of poor water quality or availability issues. So the second part of the project is to create a survey, so a way to for the policymakers for water in California to get more information directly from the communities affected by water issues. And from the website, the second part, one can access the survey. Which then will be, in our idea, will be developed by the to the public so that they can fill it. There are several options that allow the person filling the survey to quantify their expenses, and in a way that it not only takes into account the price of water, but also any other issue that they might have because of poor water quality and availability, for example, such as water shortages and issues with water quality. An interesting aspect of the way that this survey is done is that it's done using a framework, in this case called Airtable, which has a very interesting paradigm in the sense that it's very simple to create new surveys and then immediately integrate them in existing data flows. So as an example, the public-facing sector of the survey is a form which is automatically generated from this spreadsheet-like interface, and this is already pre-populated with information in a way that it's information for the water service providers. So it's easy to find and for the public, it's easy to find their own water service provider, or they can provide a fallback location in case they don't know and don't have this information available. Then all the responses are in real time filled and presented in the spreadsheet-like interface, which then is automatically generated REST API, which can be consumed by analysis tools. So we see this as a very effective way from the point of view of policymakers, and also involving not necessarily technical or data experts, to create and accelerate and facilitate contact with the public, so that both the water quality, the data about water affordability, and of course also other similar issues can be improved. And at the same time, the analysis and management necessary to perform this analysis is made easier. Because again, this is all, this survey is created and managed entirely from a web interface with really minimal interaction from the survey organizer. As for future issues and ways that, that this project could be improved and expanded, of course, I mean, I'm a particle physicist, and one of the primary reasons for me to join this project was to learn and practice my data analysis skills in a sector that was completely different from what I studied up to now. And I have to say that in this case, it's very successful, but for sure there are lots of beginners' mistakes in the tools. But nonetheless, the prototype is functional and can easily be extended from the point of view of the data science team for the water policymakers, to include a very more detailed analysis and let's say a prototype for future activities. It's interesting that with this level of analysis, so at the US Census tract level, we managed to reproduce the results from the previous studies, but in principle, the system which exists right now, so the data analysis software routines that I developed, can also be used for more granular analysis at the census block or at the census block level. From the point of view of the survey, if this paradigm is successful, it can of course be extended to other like data activities from in the sector of water or any other subject. And it's also a good approach in terms of ensuring that the quality of the data is sufficient, is good at the level of data acquisition rather than at the level of data analysis, which facilitates and allows much more convenient analysis routines. Finally, the tools that I developed for this analysis are available on the GitHub page, which is linked in the main website. And everything at this stage is done in Jupyter notebooks, so this can be followed around and done interactively. And I'm finishing a write-up for the whole analysis and releasing more library-like interface, so that this analysis in the end can be made fully reproducible for anyone who would like to use it or extend it for future applications. Okay, I'm done.